Managing a YouTube account all by yourself can be quite difficult and daunting, but I followed an ideology that I still follow to this day as much as I can. I am quite frugal as a person, so I like to keep down costs as much as possible. Now, just to preface, I am technically a gaming channel, so of course you'd have to spend money on an actual good PC in order to run the game, and in certain cases, the games you're actually playing. Other than that though, where do you start off? Well, first off, Open Broadcaster Software, also known as OBS. This is going to be your bread and butter, especially if you're on PC gaming, whether you're streaming or recording, it is basically built for it. And thankfully, because it is so widely known, there are plenty of YouTube videos out there to help you set up for the first time. And I mean plenty. If you don't have a video that solves your specific problem, it probably isn't even a problem that needs to be solved in the first place. Look at this, plenty of them. I think I used Senpai Gaming for my first setup, and yeah, it's been fantastic since then. Did not need to change much. However, if there's one specific tip I have for when you start off OBS, is the difference between resolution and bitrate. Because I grew up on YouTube, I was under the wrong assumption that resolution means how good the quality of the image would look, or the video. I was completely wrong. No, bitrate is the more determining factor. And it's easy to show this. I'm currently playing Baldur's Gate 3 on some atrocious bitrate. It's at 100 kilobits per second, and I know for a fact, without even checking the output, it's going to look really, really blocky. I bet you can't even tell what kind of face I'm pulling on the webcam. Is it happy? Is it sad? You can't tell. It's like 5 pixels. And it gets worse if you just move about a lot. Look at this. The worst thing is, when you're recording, you can't see what it looks like until you watch the video back. So I implore you, test out what bitrate is best for you. And this can vary between games, especially with games that have a lot of camera movements. This footage is filmed at 6000 kilobits per second, and already it should look a lot better than 100 kilobits per second, a massive difference. However, this is only when the screen is completely still, or there's minimal movement on there. When you start to have movement, this is when it starts to get a lot more blocky, a lot more pixelated. So you have to kind of test what the limit is for certain games. Some games you don't need a lot of movement, like my MPFC playthroughs, it's at 6000 because it doesn't move around a lot. Now, this footage is Baldur's Gate 3 at 10,000 kilobits per second. I don't think it should look too different from 6000 when it's standing still, but when you move around a lot more, it should be a lot less pixelated. Hopefully it should be a lot less. But do be aware though, when you record a higher bitrate, it does cause your file to be a lot bigger than, you know, the other ones. For obvious reasons, it's higher quality. And I still blame YouTube for making me have a false perception of what quality actually means compared to resolution. I did sit there thinking, oh, 2000 must be enough. No, 2000 would look like this. I bet it looks blocky already. But yeah, 2500 I think is the default bitrate for OBS, if I remember correctly, of course. Also, if you're streaming, take into account how good your internet provider is. If you are sending more data than your provider can actually upload, it will cause your stream to buffer, and of course, will not be a good viewing experience. I think Twitch does have a table of what the optimal bitrate is for each resolution. For 1920 by 1080, it does say 6000, which I don't agree with, but it does depend on what game you're streaming. If you're playing games like Valorant or CSGO, Rocket League, a lot of camera movements, a lot of, you know, quick movements on the screen, you may need to bump it up a bit. Just to interject something really quickly about multi-streaming, when I first started, there wasn't many options available for multi-streaming that were free. A lot of them had a certain plan. This one is no different. This one is Restream, but on the very far left-hand side here, you can see there is a free plan. The only negative is you can only stream up to 2 channels. That doesn't really matter for me because I mainly use YouTube and Twitch, but the only concern I have is with the other services is that the way they can advertise it is you have to send out 2 copies of your stream, meaning you have to send and use a lot of your upload speed. What Restream does, which is pretty different and pretty cool, is that it only sends out 1 stream, and for that one particular stream, it sends a copy of them to both YouTube or Twitch or whatever streaming service you use, and it doesn't hinder your upload speed. So you only have to rely on one uploaded stream, which is pretty nice. Up next is the video editing software. This one I'm using is called VSDC. This segment is going to be short because I only had two options in mind. I was looking at DaVinci Resolve, but when I had it, my PC just wasn't good enough to actually be able to process a lot of videos, so I went for the next best option, which is VSDC. And to be fair, it's been pretty good for me. It's been absolutely fine. Also, if I'm ever stuck in anything, the official YouTube channel for VSDC has plenty of videos showing what certain elements do. The only downside is there is a premium version, which I think is a subscription-based service. There are certain videos on there that are specifically related to those pro features, so you don't have access to them, and the videos on there are kind of useless because I stick mainly to the free option. Other than that, the only tip I can think about is pretty generic because, like most video editing software UIs, it is pretty confusing to get into in the first place. The only thing I can really say is just remember the standard resolution for any screen size, which is 1920 by 1080. You will not only use that in VSDC, but pretty much every other piece of software you use, OBS, StreamElements, a lot basically. Up next is Krita. This is a fantastic piece of software that has a myriad of uses. For example, if you want to make a thumbnail but don't have an appropriate image that is a PNG, that is to say, a transparent background, take the image you want, use the polygon selection tool, and just carefully trace around the edge of the image you want. Get rid of this bit because you don't need this bit here. Press delete. And you get to the point where you can get something like this and turn it to something like this. No background. Incredibly useful to make for thumbnails. On top of that, it is fantastic for making Twitch emotes or YouTube emotes. Now, I know you can buy or commission someone to make emotes for you, but I'll be honest, I think you're more than capable enough to make emotes yourself. Now, I'm not very artistic. I did not start out drawing, and I don't really say I'm a great drawer, but you'd be surprised at how quickly it takes for an image to take shape. Now, look at me. One of my mascots is a penguin, so I thought just make it quite simple. Just draw the outline of a penguin, give it the little head it has, like kind of like Piplup, because I know it has that weird crest that goes in. Add the color for the head, give it the eyes, add the outline of the beak and then color it in, give it some shading of course, color in the penguin. Now, my channel on Twitch and YouTube, the main one at least, focuses around a game called Nintendo Pocket Football Club, a football game, so I thought why not add it so it has some sort of yellow card. So I added the background of this bit here, colored it in, and that itself is the yellow card. There's the outline, and of course the penguin's holding it. On top of that, he's also wearing a space helmet, so I gave him just the outline of this. Gave it the color of the helmet, a little, like a glass tinge of a blue maybe? I don't know what it's called. Added the little the reflection of the card, and then gave it an outline. And trust me, the more you actually try and draw, the easier it gets, and it can save you a lot of money if you just make your own emotes. Absolutely. But then again, it's up to yourself. If you feel like someone can draw the exact image you want, that's more than fine. So yeah, hopefully that shows how versatile it is as a piece of software. In fact, everything here is made by a Krita. The tab here, the background, the little thing over there for Krita, everything. Even this actually, let me show you. The starting soon page I have for my own Twitch. All this, made by Krita. Everything. And what I like about this is it's uniquely my own. Yeah, sure, people may have similar designs to it, but look at the bottom, the emotes, all mine. Just copy them, paste them, because I have them all as a file on Krita. I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic piece of software. And just like OBS, there are a plenty amount of creators out there that have made tutorials on Krita to make it easier to use than you first start it. And trust me, they are absolute lifesavers. The only tip I have as an absolute scrub on Krita myself is how useful the shift key is, honestly. Look at the size of the pen. Normally, when I first started, I just did this in order to change the size, which isn't good because you can't see how big it is when it's on the screen. Because, well, the cursor's up here. So I found out if you just hold shift drag left click, makes it bigger. There we go. And likewise, same thing, you want to make it smaller. Hold shift and drag it inwards and it makes it smaller. Simple. Additionally, you can make straight lines, perfect circles, and perfect squares. So if we go onto our line tool, without pressing shift, it gives us free reign, but once you start to press it and hold it, it automatically snaps the next available angle. You can do horizontal lines, vertical lines, or any type of line you have see fit here. We now go onto our rectangle tool. Same situation, you don't press shift, free reign. Once you hold it, it will scale to what size you want. And next is the ellipses tool. An oval shape or ellipse. Press shift and hold it and you get a perfect circle. Lovely. StreamElements is, in my opinion, pivotal if you want to be some sort of streamer. The overlays is incredibly useful, and I'll show you how, because I have one specific overlay for my alerts. So here, for example, we have followers, subscribers, tips, and raid. If I click on emulate, this will show you what happens when someone clicks follow on my channel. So I get a sound notification, and this pops up on the stream telling me who has joined the channel. Once you're happy with all of the alerts, to simply add this to OBS, you go to the top right, see the copy overlay URL, click it once, go onto OBS, go onto your sources, press the add button, click on browser, let's call it alerts, in the URL, paste it in, and the width and the height, the magic number, remember, 1920 by 1080. Then press OK. Let's test it out real quick. Press follow. And there you go. Last but not least is going to be LibreOffice. This one clearly is an alternative to Microsoft Word. I don't use it as much. It's in case I need to write down scripts. Right now I'm currently using it to log down all the links I'm using so I can paste them in at the end of the description. Also, this package includes alternatives not only for Word but also for spreadsheet and PowerPoint. But other than that though, this is perfectly fine. Well, that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this is useful, or at the very least insightful in terms of how I do my content. Please be sure to like and subscribe as it helps out the channel greatly. And since you're already here, how about you watch this video listed right now about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and its combat mechanics, where I've used 3 of the pieces of software I've mentioned in this video. I hope you enjoy.